Hey guys, so now that we've taken you through just a bit more in depth of the first 3 stages of the in-clinic SRT program, the 4th and final part of the in-clinic is the wobble chair that we're going to go through, okay? Now, I will go through a demonstration of it at the end of the video, but I want you to understand some of the benefits the wobble chair offers us and kind of why we're having you do it. So, first and foremost, what the wobble chair is going to do as we move through some of these ranges of motion, it's going to help warm up the discs prior to the spinal molding, which is one of your at-home kit pieces that we'll have you perform. And that's going to help reshape that spine just a bit easier than if we weren't doing this motion in the low back, allowing that movement there. Along with that, it's just going to help reduce stress and tension in the low back, also in the hips, the hip flexors, the psoas, some of the deep abdominal muscles, so like some of our stabilizer muscles, it's going to help strengthen those up as well. Also, as I said, it's going to help rehydrate those discs, but also reinflate them so that they continue to stay young, strong, and flexible. And believe it or not, it also starts to enhance some of the oxygenization of the blood and speeds our metabolism up just a little bit as we're kind of working through some of the stabilization muscles in the core. Now, I want to touch back on the discs themselves because it's one big thing that we get a lot of in chiropractic clinics. A lot of people have had disc issues out there, and kind of how that happens and why that happens. We've all heard that our body is mostly water, right? So our body is about 70% water. Our central nervous system is about 90% water, and our discs themselves are 88% water, give or take. Now, another term for our discs are white tissue, or is white tissue, I should say. Now, white tissue itself does not get direct blood supply, and there's only really one way that we can bring hydration and nutrient flow into that white tissue, and that's movement and motion, okay? So, our spine has to move in order to keep discs healthy, strong, and flexible. Excuse me. And another term that you may have heard from your doctor is a subluxation, okay? Now, subluxations occur in the body, and then if you add on top of that what we've touched on previously, which is our poor posture, strength and control, and just maybe how we live day to day, right? The extra stresses we have, emotional, physical, chemical stresses, and just how we're moving day to day, how your movement is, improper moving. All of that is really going to help accelerate the load and the stress that is on those discs already. And when we're accelerating that load and the stress, what that tends to lead to is a lot quicker breakdown of those discs while they're dehydrated, because they're not getting a whole lot of motion. They're getting restricted, they're tight, and a lot of those muscles surrounding are very rigid. So the motion tends to get restricted, and the spine doesn't move in ways that it should. And as I just explained, we're so much water that when we don't get enough of that blood flow, that nutrient flow into that area, it tends to break down a lot quicker, and more tragic injuries happen. Things like ruptured discs, bulging discs, even getting minor tears throughout the discs in the lower spine. Now, we want to help prevent that, obviously, through this SRT program, and the wobble chair is one of the best ways to help increase that hydration and nutrient flow back into the discs themselves. And as I said at the beginning, I'll go through just a brief description of how we go through here. So there's a few different motions we can have you go through, but the most common one is a figure 8, okay? So with our feet planted out in front, I'm gonna hold on to the handles because they tend to turn, and sitting right in the center of the chair, we're gonna try to maintain as much shoulder stability, so I don't want you tipping forward or backward as we move here. I want to stay as stable as possible, focus solely on the hips and that low back. So we're gonna try to touch each corner of our hip to each corner of the box if we were sitting inside of a box, okay? So I'm going to dip my right hip forward, right hip back, left hip forward, left hip back. And I'm going to continue on with that process, going through the full range there. And as I'm going through here, I want to try to maintain some of that stability and some of that tension in the core here. So I want to just maintain a braced core, so we work on some of those deep stabilizer muscles a bit more. And this is one that we perform for about 5 minutes when we're in clinic and when we have you do this at the at-home portion. So thanks for tuning in. That's the whole SRT program. We'll see you guys in the next video.